And moving right on to delegations and petitions, we have a few today, so just a reminder, please, that delegation presentations are limited to 10 minutes. And I will start with item E1, an Ebus presentation by John Cowan. Come on up.
Going first.
You are. So you can just clip it on. It's just for any members of the public that might be watching from home.
Oh, okay. Bear with me for a second.
Sure.
Was that okay like that?
Yeah, that's perfect. And the floor is yours.
Okay, Mayor Johansson, City Councilors, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start off by showing a video, if we may.
The City of Penticton currently has no inter-city bus service that connects to the Lower Mainland. While local transit runs within the South Okanagan, residents looking to leave the region have few options. Penticton last saw a direct bus connection to Vancouver in 2018, when Greyhound ended their service across Western Canada.
Well, your options to get to Penticton, if you live in Penticton currently and you don't own a vehicle, your only option is to fly either to Calgary or Vancouver. And for a lot of people living in Penticton, that's not an affordable option. So many people I see on this Penticton Facebook group, Locals Helping Locals, going on social media, pleading with complete strangers. They're so desperate to get a ride to Vancouver, they're offering to pay the gas because they don't have a car or any other means to get to the coast.
While Penticton remains without a long-haul bus, intercity routes do operate elsewhere in the Okanagan. Ebus services run through Kelowna, Kamloops, and Vernon, using the Coquihalla Highway to connect with Vancouver.
Is there demand for a sustainable service to operate, say, from Penticton into the Greater Vancouver area? We have had conversations with Mayor and Council with the City of Penticton. It's not that we're not considering it, just there's appropriate steps that have to be followed, and we're looking at all of the options.
The proposed route would extend service to southern Okanagan communities, offering another affordable way to travel to the Lower Mainland.
There's just a lot of people that don't have a vehicle, they can't afford to fly, they need this bus.
Cowan has started a petition for the proposed route and has gained over 1,400 signatures to date. The petition will be brought to Penticton City Council on April 21st, in hopes that the city opens the door to conversations to bring long-haul bus service back to the city. With Rogers TV Penticton, I'm Matthew Geiser.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, why am I doing this? Well, I've been a transportation advocate my entire life, and steering, I will admit, I steer more towards trains. I've been a train fanatic ever since the day I can remember, and that in conjunction with a successful career at the Canadian Pacific Railway, but transportation's always been in my blood. So after residing in the Lower Mainland for 45 years, I relocated to Penticton in 2024, and it didn't take me long to realize that after the demise of Greyhound, if you live in Penticton today, your only way, if you don't own a vehicle, your only way to get out of there is to fly, and that's not an affordable option for a lot of people. So because I've taken people up to the Ebus, I presume you're familiar with Ebus, I've taken people up there, and I thought, this 45-minute drive to West Kelowna is ridiculous. And so what really got me going on this was last July, the Coquihalla Highway was closed for 3 days. There was a sinkhole, and I got very curious. So I phoned Ebus in real time, and I asked the frontline employee on the phone, what are you doing with your two Kelowna-Vancouver runs? Did you cancel them? And the girl on the phone said, no, we're detouring them on the Hope Princeton Highway. So that told me right then and there that they're detouring through the Hope Princeton Highway, through Penticton to get to Kelowna. And I let it go at that, and I sat on it for about a week, and then a week later I phoned Ebus again, and I spoke to somebody in Calgary and they're high up in their customer service department, and I said, look, could you not reroute one of these daily buses via Penticton so that Penticton, the largest city in the southern Okanagan, south of Kelowna, could get a daily bus service again? They haven't had anything since the demise of Greyhound. And she said, no, we're not going to do it because it takes an hour longer when we detour. She's correct. I checked it on Google Earth. It does take 65 minutes longer drive from Kelowna to Vancouver via Penticton than via Merritt. And she says it would mess up our schedule from Kelowna to Kamloops. Well, I don't do well when people say no to me, and it just emboldens me to want to go further. And so then I met with your counterpart, Mayor Bloomfield, and met with him and some of the other city councilors, and they weren't too sure they wanted to get on board at first, but then I convinced them to, and then we got really involved, got the media involved, we went public with it, and to kind of put the pressure on Ebus to hopefully come down towards the Okanagan. It's still in the process right now. I did pass around some letters of support. I'd like you, Mayor Johansson, to have a copy for sure. I have letters of support from Kermis, Penticton, Summerland, Similkameen Valley Society that depends on rides, and also a Facebook group with a few comments, including a gentleman from Osoyoos that would like to use it. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, if this bus is going to go from Penticton to Kermis to Princeton, why is he here talking to us in Oliver? Well, I'll tell you why, and I'll be honest. Initially, when I started with this, trying to get the bus rerouted, I have to be honest, and Oliver wasn't really on my radar at first, going back. But then when I went public, and that, by the way, that the petition that he talked about on TV, he showed 1,400 signatures, over 2,500 signatures now, and still climbing. When everything got posted, the petition, all the media coverage, I was on CBC Radio 3 times talking about one interview with Sarah Pent, was heard around the entire province. A lady from Okanagan Falls wrote to me publicly on Facebook, and she said, all this stuff you're putting on the Penticton Facebook group, could you put it on a group called Okanagan Falls Public Forum? And I said, I'd be happy to do that for you, but you realize the bus isn't going to go to Okanagan Falls. Oh, that's okay, I realize that. But if you could get, if you're going to use the Penticton Airport, and that's the thing you probably noticed the Penticton Airport was shown on there. That was done on purpose, because I've been trying to advocate to use the Penticton Airport for the Penticton stop. Ebus already uses the Abbotsford and the Clone airports on a daily basis now. The airport in Penticton is underutilized, and unlike Ebus's West Kelowna stop, where they just have a sign on the side of the highway in West Bank by the Scotia Bank with no shelter from the elements, no washing facilities. The bus terminal, the airport has everything, and it'd be a great facility. And also with Ebus holding that timeline card over my head, saying they don't want to come this way because it takes longer. Using the airport is the quickest way to get Ebus in Penticton, through Penticton, stop at Penticton, get out of Penticton. So this lady from Okanagan Falls said, if you can use the Penticton Airport, it'll only be a 7-minute drive for my husband to take me to the Penticton Airport. Now it's an hour to go to West Kelowna. And for you folks here, you know, I realize the buses are going to come here with the proposal I have, but you'd only be a 25-minute drive to the Penticton Airport versus, I think, about an hour and a half now for you to go from here to West Kelowna to take the bus. So that's why I'm doing that, and hopefully I can get your support, a letter of support, and if Mayor Johansson, if you could telegraph, I believe the mayors in the Okanagan meet monthly, or if you could telegraph to, if you're in support of it, if you could telegraph to Mayor Bloomfield that your community would definitely like to support this, and we would love having the Penticton Airport as the stop. I think that would really serve. I'd love to have the bus come here, but it's just the demographics of where you are based on the main route to Vancouver. It's just not the best, but so I'm doing the best I can. It hasn't been easy. I've been doing this all on my own, and the more support I can get, the better. I think it would be a good thing. As I say, that handout I handed out, I took some screenshots of a post, and a gentleman from Osoyoos said, yeah, I would love to use the Penticton Airport because I could park my car overnight. He said also on another post I didn't share with you that he had to drive up to West Kelowna a month ago. He had to leave Osoyoos at 6:45 to make sure he got to the West Kelowna E-bus stop by 8:45. So it's a heck of a lot better going to the Penticton Airport. So I'm hoping that we can do this. I mean, the Southern Okanagan has been deprived of a decent bus service since 2018. It's nobody's fault that Greyhound made that blanket decision to fold. They did, but it happened. But I'm doing my best to get a daily bus back here to the Southern Okanagan, and you only get a 25-minute stop at the airport. So I guess any questions? I know my time's going to elapse soon, so.
Thank you very much for the presentation, John, and I'll look to around the table, see if we do have any questions or comments. Councillor Ventimilla, and then, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So just so that I understand, is Ebus a private business?
Yeah.
So you're just looking for a letter of support from us or from the various councils to lobby a private business to expand their business?
That's correct. See, a letter of support, particularly that one for the Similkameen Valley, if you have a chance, a society, that letter on its own is worth its weight in gold, because you see, when Ebus, if they decide that they'll do this, it's not a case of they can just start running the bus tomorrow. They're regulated, like when I worked for Canadian Pacific Railway, I was regulated by Transport Canada. They're regulated by a highway version of Transport Canada, BC Transportation Authority, so they would have to go to them, apply for a license, and that would take time, and they would have to do that. So to convince the BC Transportation Authority to give them that license, Ebus would want to have as many letters of support to show the Transportation Authority that having this route rerouted is going to be an asset to the communities and is going to help them.
Thank you.
Mayor Johansson?
Yeah, no, thanks for coming, John. I think it's a valuable asset to be able to provide transportation to residents. My wife has taken the one from West Kelowna, and it's without Greyhound services, we're really lean down here. I sure don't have a problem endorsing a letter saying we would like to see that kind of service here as well. If it makes a difference, that would be great.
Well, down the road, I mean, down the road, hope maybe we can get Ebus to come here, but for now, my goal is, I should just mention very quickly, they have 2 buses runs a day up from West Kelowna, 9 a.m. and 4:45 in the afternoon. And I'm proposing that they reroute the 9 a.m. bus. That would get it to the Penticton Airport about 10:15 in the morning, and then make their stops in Karameas, Princeton, and the ones they make in the Fraser Valley now, and get to the Via Rail Station at Main and Terminal. That's where they terminate. They use the Via Rail Station at 3:30 in the afternoon. That would be great, rather than their late afternoon one, because that wouldn't get to Vancouver till 10 o'clock at night. So that's what I'm proposing to do, and then have an eastbound run as well. I don't know how really they are into wanting to do this reroute, but public pressure and the media can sometimes change things. But they are a private company, and we can't make them do it. That's true, and I've had people tell me that. But now that I've gone public with it, and I've kind of brought it out into the open, if you will, I think that collectively, I think we all have an obligation to try to make this work, to try to entice them to come here, and that's why I had to convince Penticton. We can't make them come here, but if you get them to come and sit down at a table, negotiate with, and come up with a deal that's going to benefit them, because they want to make money, and benefit our communities. The communities, your constituents here, the ones in Penticton, the ones in Summerland. So.
Councillor Dhaliwal?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Are you looking all year round route or just seasonal? Just
Year round.
Year round.
Yeah, because you see, the thing is, okay, this is the thing. Now, I had somebody working for the city in Penticton who said to me, who didn't understand how Ebus operates, and that's fine if you've never used it, but this person in the city said, well, it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money to start this new service. And I said, I'm not advocating for a new service. What I'm advocating for is to just reroute an existing service. It already runs from A to B now, Kelowna to Vancouver. And you've got the bus running from 2 highly populated areas, Kelowna and Vancouver. It wouldn't make any sense to start a new service in Penticton, because it's not going to sustain itself. But if you've already got a bus running, it's like with the trains, Via Rail. They run from Montreal to Toronto. So they started a big populated area, terminate a big populated community, and all the communities in between, they'll benefit from it, but they can't sustain it on their own, if that makes any sense. So the fact that bus is already running now from Kelowna to Vancouver, just reroute it. They already run 2, just reroute the 1 bus each day. It's not going to be like Penticton used to have 4 buses a day in each direction when Greyhound ran, until the Coquihalla Connector was built, and they reduced it to 2 a day. We're not going to get that level of service again. But to have 1 bus a day in each direction on a daily basis, I mean, I'm sure Oliver is the same as Penticton and Summerland. You have an aging demographic here that people aren't driving as much, and they need that transportation to get to the coast.
Just want to add one comment here. I had 2 workers come on the Ebus to West Kelowna, so maybe you could look at that angle. There's a lot of workers that come out of Vancouver Airport. They catch a bus, I think, out of Chilliwack. So a lot of that population of workers comes June, and they do leave in August. So you could tap into that too as something to.
You could maybe. Is there a name for I could write to?
I'll email it. Something
Would you do that, or if the mayor has my email address? If you could telegraph that to me, that would be great. Because the more letters of support we can get, the better.
Oh yeah, I'm just talking about bodies that will possibly come here and go on the Ebus.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate your passion. I think when, members of the community are able to sort of initiate something like this rather than, depending on government or someone else to do that, I think that can be really powerful. So there is a proposed motion that council directs staff to draft a letter of support encouraging Ebus to reroute one of its daily Kelowna to Vancouver routes through Penticton, utilizing the Penticton Airport as the designated Ebus stop. If someone would like to move that.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried.
Thank you. And if I may just quickly, if at some point you can help Penticton, like Penticton, and now they've taken on this feat of trying to negotiate all this on their own, but I suggested to Summerland that they help, that they get we have our CAO in Penticton who was tasked after a vote with their council to do the negotiating. But if I asked Summerland if you could help, all these communities are going to benefit rather than Penticton to do all this negotiating on their own. If you could help too, I just thought I'd throw that in. Try to get everything in before I leave.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you. Okay, moving on to item E2, Okanagan Basin Water Board, and I have Melissa, is it Teshy? Melissa Teshy, Executive Director of the Okanagan Basin Water Board, with a presentation. Take a minute to get yourself settled in there.
Thank you very much. John and I have actually been on the same tour here, so we were at Summerland on the same day too, so just swapping back and forth.
And we went, she went before me last time, and we were both dressed in blue, but this time we're not. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council.